All right, so you've been going to the gym for a while, you've seen some great results, you're getting stronger, you're getting leaner, but they've started to slow up. So what gives? Well, in this video, I'm gonna answer all your questions and help you keep making those gains. I gave it all for you. So the topic of this video, progressive overload. We're gonna hop right into it. It's very simple. When you start lifting, when you first start going to the gym, whether you're a guy or a girl, young, old, the minute you start going to the gym for the first time in your life, your body adapts amazingly. You get a ton of results, you start feeling better. It's great. That lasts for anywhere from like 90 days to the first year. Well, after that, things get a little more complicated. Your body adapts to that stimulus, right? It gets used to you putting stress on it. Whereas before you didn't put stress on it and you were a couch potato, now you've been putting stress on it, you've been adapting to that stress, and now guess what? That's become your body's new norm. So what do we have to do to make a change? Well, we have to push our body outside the norm once again. We can do this in a couple different ways. And all of these different ways are ways of applying the idea of progressive overload. It's just like the name sounds. As we progress, we have to continue adjusting the way we're overloading our body. And it's very simple. So if any of these words are confusing you, if this sounds intense, it's not. I'm gonna make this as crystal clear as possible. You're gonna be doing more tomorrow than you did today. That's the basic idea. Okay, so there are 4 main ways that we can apply progressive overload. Number 1 is simply add more weight. If you're someone, and I see this especially with women, you guys get comfortable with doing a certain weight and you're worried that adding more weight is going to make you look bulky or make you, have too much muscle. It's not. You're not set up to look like a guy. Unless you start taking loads of testosterone, you're not going to look like a guy. For guys, maybe not quite the same thing, but I see guys get comfortable doing a certain weight and they'll continue to go in and do that same weight week after week after week. That's why you're not seeing new results. So when I talk about adding more weight, I don't mean add weight to everything in the workout, especially towards the end when you're doing those lighter exercises focused more on muscle-mind connection. Don't worry about those. What I'm talking about is every workout, you should have a big starting movement, whether that's squats or deadlifts or bench press or overhead press, something that is very taxing on the whole body. That is the lift you want to focus on adding more weight to week over week. Now, it doesn't have to be a lot, but I would say, especially in the beginning, try adding 2.5 pounds on each side to 5 pounds on each side every week until you hit a point where you can no longer continue adding that amount of weight. After that's done, we can then move into variable number 2 to keep progressively overloading the body. Number 2 is simply add more reps. Let's say you were squatting 135 pounds, a plate on either side, and you've worked your way up to 150 pounds, but when you try to do 155 pounds that next week, you can't get it for those 3 sets of 10 you've been doing. Well, instead of continuing to try to add more weight, let's add more reps. We go back down maybe to that 135, but this time we'll do it for 3 sets of 15, and it changes it up, and it's a different stimulus, and your body has to adapt to it. And then you work your way back up to 150 pounds doing 3 sets of 15, and hey, what do you know? The next time you try to do 155 pounds, you can do it for that 3 sets of 10 quite easily. So we've changed the reps and thereby increase the amount of weight we can do. So you can increase weight when you can no longer increase weight, go back down and increase reps. These are the 2 variables that I like to use the most, but there are other 2 variables that we can also include. Now, if you're an athlete, this is one you should also focus on very heavily, and this is less rest. So let's say you're doing squats. It's a very lower body dominant exercise. Lots of athletes use these to build up a stronger base, a stronger core. So you've been taking about 2 minutes in between each set. Now, if your goal isn't necessarily to add more weight, you can lower the rest in between those sets, meaning that you are actually overloading your recovery system, meaning that you're going to get better at recovering faster, making you more athletic, so that when you go and that transfers on to maybe running on a field, playing baseball, playing football, playing soccer, anything that requires you to have a quick recovery system, you're going to increase your recovery and it's going to make you more cardiovascularly healthy. So it's another way to overload. Now, if you're going for strength, not the best way. So that is the one little side note I will add to this one. Reducing the amount of rest time will inhibit the amount of weight you can use in the exercise normally, and that will inhibit the amount of strength you can get out of it. So if you're trying to get stronger, I would keep your rest times normal. But if you're trying to be more athletic, trying to increase your recovery time or decrease your recovery time and increase your recoverability, then this is definitely a variable that you should include in your training. Now, this last one, I'm going to take a minute to talk about. Number 4, it might be the most important one, and that is cleaning up your form. And I've said this time and time again. I've done this many, many times. Back in college, when I was around 19 or 20 years old, I deadlifted 500 pounds for the first time, and it looked awful. I'm now 24 years old, and I only deadlift around 550 pounds. That's not a lot of extra pounds I've added on each year. Why is that? Well, it's because I realized 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, that form wasn't great. So I went back and I got better with my form as I went on. This is only going to help you, 1, not get injured, 2, get more muscle growth, because a lot of times when we're using bad form, all of the pressure is on our joints and our ligaments and not our muscle. If you are doing an exercise and it feels uncomfortable, that's okay. But if it feels like it's pinching or hurting in places it's not supposed to, take a video. Don't be afraid to use your camera in the gym. I know it can be a little weird, but take your phone out, record yourself doing an exercise, and then compare it to someone who does the exercise very well. Now, exercises will look different for everyone. Your squat and my squat are going to look different because we have different mechanics, but there are principles that should be the same. So if you find that your knees are coming together like this, that's bad. You don't want that. Self-assess, take some videos, and critique your form. And this goes hand in hand with maybe lowering the weight and increasing the reps. If you are constantly doing a 5x5 for squats and trying to go up in weight, but you're going up with really bad form, you're just practicing compensating for the exercise improperly. Instead, I would say go back down to a weight that you can do really, really well, and you might even keep the reps the same and do it with better form. I've done this countless times, and I can't tell you how happy I am, because guess what? There's an upper limit for lifting with bad form where either you get injured or you just can't make the form any worse and the weight won't go up because you're not actually strengthening. If you're lifting with your back like this during a deadlift, there's only so much weight that you can keep adding on before you get injured, or you just can't add on any more weight. And you're not actually working the muscle, so the muscle's not getting that much stronger. If you work with proper form, you're gonna get the most out of the exercise, because that's the way the muscle can contract the best, is with proper form. So, variable number 4, use proper form. I know it's boring, I know it's like the classroom answer to give, but it is the best way to get the biggest results the quickest. If you want to be the guy lifting the most in the gym, don't rush to it with bad form. You'll ultimately be the guy lifting the most in the gym if you stick with good form, because you'll outlast everyone who gets injured trying to chase the big numbers right off the bat, and you'll actually get stronger than them because you're building the muscle and you're not just abusing the movement and abusing your joints and your ligaments. So let's recap. You can increase the weight. When you can no longer increase the weight, decrease the weight and increase the reps. If you're looking to be better at recovery, maybe do a couple weeks where you focus on decreasing the rest that you take in between your sets. And overall, always look back and make sure you're doing all this with proper form. And if you're not, take the time to reassess your form, lower the weight, perform the reps with proper form, and then build back up by adding more weight from there. And that is how you progressively overload in the gym. And if you've come to this part in the video, then I guarantee you're someone who struggled with what I said in the beginning. You've been lifting for a year or two and the results have started to slow, and you want to know how to progress from there. This is the key. This is the fountain of youth for lifting. So don't sleep on progressive overload. It is the #1 way that you keep making gains. I use it week in and week out. Everybody in the fitness industry, anyone you see who's really ripped, I guarantee you is using it week in and week out. This is the secret sauce. So learn progressive overload, practice progressive overload, and get those gains. I hope this helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, if you found something helpful in this, please leave a like. Definitely helps me out. Subscribe for more. I put out these videos weekly. And I, as always, will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Give me your hand and we'll make it there soon. Life is just one beautiful view. We'll eventually get there. This is the pursuit. This is the pursuit. This is the pursuit.